Kopi Dulu, friends. Grab your favorite beverage and let's see what's in the cards for this week. It's the Sunday morning spread from Cards of Life for Sunday, May 4th. Glad to be with you again for our Thoth Tarot reading for the week to come. Before we begin, if you wouldn't mind, if you haven't yet subscribed to this channel, click the button so you will be notified whenever we have new content available for you. And while you're at it, why don't you click that thumbs up for us too? That will really help us out here. All right, let's get into our 4-card energy reading for the week. We're going to be looking at the 4 dimensions of life. Let's just kind of clear out the energy around the table here. I didn't do this before we started. I did give the cards a good shuffle before we started, and I've got some incense going and a candle here, but I always like to kind of just clear the energy out so we can get a good signal from the cards here. And let's just take a moment, as we always do, to take a couple breaths, get centered in the body, and get our minds quiet before we begin. All right. And that, my friends, right there is when most people drop off from watching these videos. Huge drop off as we're getting our minds quiet. So I don't know if that says something about me or something about the practice or something about the state of consciousness in our modern society. Okay, in the physical dimension of life, we have the Princess of Wands this week. The social emotional, we have the Magus. In the mental dimension, we have the Priestess. And in the spiritual dimension, we have the Hangman. Boy, that card has just been hanging around for us. All right. 3 majors this week. Big energies. Three majors and a court card for us. And we'll take these one at a time. Okay, over here in the physical dimension of life, we have the Princess. Boy, I do not like the glare. Let me move these down. Okay, it took just a moment to adjust the lighting so we can see these beautiful cards from Lady Harris in her artwork without all of the glare that was happening earlier. So I hope it's a little bit better at this point. All right, let's take these one at a time. In the physical dimension, we have the Princess of Wands. And this is Earth of Fire, would be the way we would look at this court card. The Wands cards being the cards of fire, and the Princess rank being the cards of Earth. So this is Earth of Fire. And when I see a court card, I like to think of what attributes of that card might be useful to me and might be good to emulate. And also what attributes of this character might be things that I would want to kind of shy away from. And so this card represents usually a young woman or a femme-presenting person that is relatively young, energetic, individualistic, really smart, really daring, very passionate, but sometimes a little bit unrestrained in terms of expressions of love or anger. It sometimes can tend towards being a little theatrical or shallow, maybe not the most reliable character in the world. So coming as this does in the physical dimension of life, I would say that we want to embrace things enthusiastically as much as we can this week, but we want to kind of curb that tendency towards superficiality or playing out, that kind of stuff. And this also may represent someone that is coming into our lives, or even someone that we already know that's going to figure pretty prominently in the week to come. In the physical dimension, though, so we're talking about the dimension of life that has to do with physical health, financial well-being, our physical environment, and that sort of thing. So we want to bring some enthusiasm into that area of our life, but we don't want to go off the deep end and let our enthusiasm get the better of us, and we don't want to get into fantasy land in the week to come. So I have a sense that this is about financial matters, and I'm getting a strong intuitive hit that someone is maybe about to fall prey to a very charming opportunity financially that may not be in their best interest. So if all of a sudden that gave you a feeling in the pit of your stomach, please take a moment to pause, pay attention to what's going on, and maybe think twice before you jump into something that seems like a really, really good deal, but may not be in your best interest. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying do your due diligence. Make sure that you're making a decision that isn't just kind of grasping at something right quick or falling prey to someone being kind of overly charming and doing a sales job on you. That's the way I would see this one. I would love to hear back from you if this resonates, if it's advice that you either decide to take or should have taken as the week plays out here. You can leave comments here on the video or pop on out to the weblog at atarotjourney.com. Okay, the Magus here. So this is the card of as above, so below, of making things manifest through will and skillful means in the world, coming as it does in the social emotional dimension of our lives here. I think that this card is telling us that we need some integrity. We need to be authentic to our feelings, and we need to present ourselves authentically to those around us. We need to recognize that the big picture is always reflected in the little picture, and sooner or later, if there are inconsistencies there, if there's a lack of integrity there, those are going to show up. And so we need to just make sure and just check ourselves in our interactions with others this week, and in general, in the way that we're dealing with our lives this week, that we are being true to our deepest self, true to our feelings. We're going to be getting some maybe emotional messages where our body is going to be telling us things, and we need to pay attention to those. We need to be true to those. If we feel ourselves to be in a situation where we are tempted to kind of hold back, we need to not do that. We need to go ahead and be true to ourselves, and we need to also not be hiding ourselves from others and in our interactions with others. We need to be open-hearted as much as we can and be as authentic as we can this week. And the good thing about that is when we do that, it gives us a great deal of agency and power in our lives as well. On that theme, so this is the number 1 card of the majors. This is the number 2. The Priestess, or the High Priestess, is called in some decks, or also it could be called the Popess in the very older decks, like the Marseille decks. This is the card. She is the guardian of the very thin veil between what we experience as material reality and what is beyond the beyond. And so, and she gives us access to that. in the mental dimension of our lives. There are exercises that we can do, mental exercises that we can do that help us get in touch with that source that is behind what we perceive as material reality. I don't know who said this, but there's a great quote that says, reality is not behind a veil, reality is the veil. So what we perceive, what we experience as material reality is in some ways a deception. In some ways it's really real. I mean, if we see a solid brick wall and we go up and say, oh, well, this isn't real, and hit our head against it, it's going to hurt. But we do know that what appears to be so solid is actually these patterns of energy moving at great speeds and giving us that illusion and that effect of being very solid. So we can do some practices. We can do meditation. There are all sorts of magical practices that can be done that will help us get in touch with the reality under the surface. I would say if you're going to embark on those sorts of practices, learn a lot before you do anything, because it is possible to kind of get yourself into some difficult situations if you don't know what you're doing. So study a lot first. Maybe since this comes in the mental dimension of our lives, it is a cue to do that, to do some study if you're inclined that way. You really aren't going to get into trouble with meditation unless you have some deep, psychosis going on or something, in which case get some help first. But otherwise, sitting and doing some simple pranayama techniques, doing some simple mindfulness meditation, things like that, doing some mantra techniques for meditation are not going to be dangerous, at least the vast majority of the time for anyone. They're good practices to do, and if you begin to do them and they don't feel right, you're going to know pretty quick with those as well. Anyway, I think that's what this is about. This card is it's a good time to move in the direction of either daily practices or some sort of intellectual approach to getting a better understanding, clearer insights into what is the basis for all of the stuff that we perceive as material reality. Well, we are way out in the weeds this week. Okay, that's what happens when you get all these major cards, though. Okay, the Hanged Man up here in the spiritual dimension. And this card has come up a lot, and I think it's come up in that dimension a lot lately. This is the card of unconventionality. It is the card of self-sacrifice. When I see this card, most of the time, I take it as a cue to look at things from a different perspective and to look at things from our own unique perspective, not go along with the crowd. But I'm getting the sense that this week it is about the self-sacrifice aspects of this card. We, in our society, it is going against the grain to sacrifice. It is going against the grain not to just consume whatever we want, do whatever we want, enjoy things, and not give a second thought to the effects of those things that we're doing on others and on our world. So it is a countercultural act to do things that are counter to just compulsive consumption. And this week we're going to be not just doing others a favor and doing our world a favor, but we're going to be doing ourselves a favor if we take some time to maybe do some volunteer work, cook a meal for a local homeless shelter, if there's one in your area, or do some act of kindness toward others that you're not going to be that it's not a practical thing. You're not going to get something out of it other than the satisfaction of doing it. And that would just be a really, really good thing to do. It's going to return many times over in terms of the karmic aspects of things and in terms of our overall well-being, our spiritual, mental, and emotional, and even physical well-being if we do that this week. So lots of interesting stuff to explore. We could go on probably for an hour or so about these cards, but I won't do that. You've got other things to get to, I'm sure. I'd love to hear what you think about this. Again, you can leave comments here with the video if you want. Also, we've got all kinds of other content on this channel for you. We've got daily reflections on my daily tarot card draw. We've also got every week on Thursday, I do a reading looking at the energy of the weekend to come. I've got essays and commentary and all kinds of other stuff. So please check out the channel while you're here. And again, if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. I will be back soon, every day and Thursday and next Sunday and on with more for you here. Get in touch when you can. And until we meet again, I wish you peace. Take care of yourself.